welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and inside this game overview and gameplay video, I'm checking out a game called Survive Until Daylight from Flyos Games. Now, you'll remember the first iteration of this one was called Until Daylight. This second edition aims to improve from the prior version, giving you extra strategy built in, simplified rules, deeper combat, extra scenarios, different modes of play like campaign play or one-shot. You also have PvP built in. Now, from a solo perspective, it's a cooperative game, so you have that angle, but you also can play the game in true solo as well. Survive Until Daylight is landing on Kickstarter for June the 7th, so it's really coming around the corner quite quickly, and I hope this video will help you make an informed decision as to whether or not this solo experience is for you. Now, before we dive into gameplay, let's go over a game overview. I'll show you all the different components at a high level, so you have an understanding as to what you're seeing here and things that aren't on screen. Now, the prototype that I'm using here has 6 characters in total to choose from. The one I'm choosing to play is going to be the Psycho, and I've already gone ahead and picked the weapon for the Psycho. I'll talk about how that all gets set up in a moment, but there's also a whole bunch of other characters, all with their own starting weapon, and underneath of each of the weapons is also their main perk and their first player perk. Again, because I'm playing true solo, I'm only selecting one character. The rest of these can go back to the box. With my character dashboard in play here, I've also gone ahead and placed the first player marker right on the slot of the character board because this is the only character I'll be controlling, and also the damage marker starts in the 0 position. Of course, I get my Psycho knife, and if you want to know which items from the deck relates to the character you're using, it really just comes down to the keyword of the individual down below. So the Psycho knife goes with the Psycho, and then from there you actually get a choice as to what other weapon you want to equip. And you'll be choosing from a pool of weapons, of which I've already gone ahead and chosen the gun, but you could pick the crowbar, the hammer, the hatchet, the bow. There's a number of different items, but it's worth mentioning the gun and the bow both need ammunition or arrows in order to be used. Now, it's worth mentioning on your character, you do have 2 slots, which are essentially permanent slots that cannot have those items pulled or taken away from you by enemies. So of the 8 slots in your inventory you're allowed to have, 2 of them are locked in. So your gun and your knife, for instance, can't be stolen from you by the enemies, but as you acquire other things throughout your journey, those can be taken away. All the rest of the weapons that we didn't use go back to the game box, and let's talk about the overarching goal of the game, which is to survive 6 rounds of pure chaos. And what better person to deal with chaos than a Psycho? And this Psycho has his knife and his gun, his first player marker is set, his health is set, and we're ready to go and take on all these crazy individuals that we have to try and survive against for these 6 rounds. Now, way up there in the north, you're going to see an assault deck layered out. Normally that would just be all combined together in the final version, and you'll be flipping one of those assault cards over in a particular phase to denote how many enemies of which types are coming out into the fray against you. However, inside this prototype, those assault cards are a little bit outdated now as there's been tweaks to them, so I won't be flipping those over. Instead, I'll be showing you cards on screen when those are to be flipped, and instead using that assault deck as almost like a timer because we know we need to survive 6 rounds, so every time a round goes by, I'll toss one of those assault cards. Another big aspect of the setup is to build the rubble deck, and this sounds like a big job, but it really isn't. It's going to be really nice on the final version as the number of players for each of the different cards is going to be specified in the top left-hand corner, making it really easy to categorize for true solo, 2-player, 3-player, 4-player, and so on, so you can easily just grab the deck of cards, or rubble deck essentially, and be able to have it ready to go right out of the gates. What I've done here is I've just laid out all the different types that are involved in the true solo rubble decks. You can see them all. There's a whole bunch of them. Some of them are just a single card of a particular one, and some are like 5 or 6 of them, for instance. So all of those cards are then compiled into a deck, which is called the rubble deck for the game you're playing. That is my true solo rubble deck. This wave card is going to be placed in a number of cards drawn off the top of the deck every single round. When playing true solo, it's going to be 7 cards off the top of the deck with the wave card added in. You'll see when you place the wave card in, it's going to match the exact same back. The wave card is going to be a trigger point for a decision during that particular phase. Also, there's a number of cards that are not part of this rubble deck. Again, depending on whether or not they're part of the 2-player, 3-player, 4-player, and so on, they'll be added in those player counts. Now we'll talk more about the rubble deck later on when we start pulling cards out of it, but there's things in there that allow you to craft things. There's things that are going to help you with your health, potentially give you more actions like energy shots. There's all these different cards that can do and give you benefits during the gameplay. There's also some red cards in there which are going to throw some negative effects at you when you happen to stumble across them. Now what you're looking at here is a number of crafted items. When you get two components, they can make up a crafted item like a barricade, for instance, a trap, a spear, or a grenade. All of these have different effects. The barriers here can actually absorb an entire attack. The traps here do 4 damage. Grenades, which you can also craft, can stun up to 2 enemies, and they're pushed back at the end of the wave and can't be targeted or attacked for the current phase. And a spear, which is this one right up here, inflicts 3 damages and increases a subsequent attack by 1. These are just damage markers. On the right-hand side of the game board, we have a number of different enemies of varying types. We have the Wanderers with the blue back, we have the Raiders with the purple back, we have the Brutes with the orange back, the Monsters with the red back, and Survivors there on the far, far right as well. Now the overall game is divided into 3 phases: search, trade, and combat. However, when you're playing true solo, there is no trade phase whatsoever because, well, there's nobody to trade with. So you're just doing a search phase and a combat phase. We're going to start with that search phase. Within the rulebook itself, it has a chart that depicts how many cards come off the rubble deck during the search phase to create the active rubble deck that you'll be using in the search phase. So it's 7 when playing true solo, so I've got 7 cards here. And then on top of it, you need to flip over that wave card so the back matches, bundle them all together for a total of 8 cards, shuffling them all up and placing them in a deck. At this point, the active rubble deck is all ready to go. It's really referred to in the rulebook as the active rubble pile because you're really actively searching through a pile trying to find stuff that will help you out. So you're rummaging around the area trying to get prepared for the hordes that are to come. So we're going to go ahead and start drawing cards off the top of this deck, and the second we hit the wave card, we have a key choice to make, and I'll talk more about that when we hit it. So we're going to go ahead right now and flip up the top card, and we got junk. Now you might think right at the gates, well, getting a junk card is junk. Just discard it. Well, junk is actually useful inside this game because, as I mentioned before, you have an inventory limit of 8. 2 of them are taken up by the weapons I currently have, so I have 6 other slots available. You can layer items in your inventory slots. You can have multiple junk cards in the same slot, so they're not taking up multiple spots in your inventory. The reason junk can be good is if you keep enough of it, if somebody tries to actually take something from you and you randomly have to lose a card, it might just be junk that they take instead of something really good. So for now, we'll slot that junk in. We'll keep on searching, see what else we get. And right out of the gates, we've broken a bone while searching. This is definitely not good. Up in the top right-hand corner, you'll see 2 skulls. That lets us know we take 2 immediate damage. Those red cards can be pretty nasty. Now, when you're playing true solo, there's 3 different ones inside the deck. We've already hit one of them, so that's definitely not good news out of the gates. And it was one of the worst ones, being that we took 2 damage, but there's a couple other ones in there. Hopefully we don't see them right away here. Let's flip the next card. We got ourselves arrows. So these arrows, I definitely want to go ahead and place in my inventory. I don't have a bow though, so they might be one of the ones I end up discarding later on. Now, what happens when you land the wave card like I just did? Well, you have 2 options. The first one is to put on your war face and let the enemies come. The next wave of enemies is on the way. This is where you'd pull a card from the assault deck. I'll be placing one on screen if I choose to go ahead and do so and have the enemies come at me. Or you can buy yourself some time by basically taking something sharp nearby, stabbing yourself a bit, chucking the thing in the direction of those monsters to keep them preoccupied for a bit with that blood, hopefully hoping that they'll stay far enough away from you so you can continue rummaging around and searching for more stuff. Now, I've already taken a broken bone injury, so I'm not looking to get all ready. But I didn't get much out of this search so far, so I might actually go ahead and take 1 more damage. The other thing you might want to do is take a look at the odds of pulling that card again. So you can see here, this is not that bad. We can go ahead, throw the wave card in. There's decent odds that we should get a couple more search cards before hitting the wave card again. So the pile's been all assembled, the wave card is back inside. Let's go ahead and keep on rummaging. We got ourselves a water, that's going to allow us to heal 1 damage. I'll certainly be putting that over there. We'll continue rummaging through here. We got ourselves an explosive, this is good. It's a craftable item. And when I say it's something that can be crafted, you'll look down below and it says when you combine it with wiring, it becomes a trap, or if you combine it with nails, it becomes a grenade. So these two I definitely want to put in my inventory. Let's continue onwards. And there's the wave card. So now we have another decision. Do we want to take another damage and continue on? Probably not, based on how many cards are left in here. We got 2. Yeah, let's not go ahead and do it. We'll stop right here and let the hordes come. Now on the tabletop, I've removed one of the assault cards in order to draw what you're seeing on screen, which is the over-the-top card that says in the 1-player column, we're going to have 2 brutes and 1 survivor. We now shuffle those cards together and we're going to draw them out of the deck and place them in the row. So the first one here is going to be a brute, then we have a survivor in the middle, and then another brute right after. Now the order in which these things come out into the line really does matter, especially for my main perk here, which says when you attack an enemy, you inflict 1 damage on an adjacent enemy. Now the Psycho is a bit crazy, so when he makes his attack, it's going to be a guaranteed attack against somebody else, which means he is crazy enough to accidentally kill a survivor. The downside of that is, well, he kills a survivor, but the real downside is that you don't get to collect the survivor if you're strong enough to take down all of the enemies in the row. That's right, so if you can kill off all the enemies, you gain that survivor as a benefit. And when you actually get a survivor, you can discard them to absorb 1 damage in subsequent rounds, so they can be really handy. However, if they're left in the row because the enemies in the row were not taken out, when the enemies activate and they attack a target, they normally would go after the Psycho. Now I'm playing true solo, so the second that the wave hits, the target will always be the person with the wave card. Now the wave card normally sits right next to the character dashboard. I'm not going to do that because the target's always going to be the Psycho, but when there's a survivor in play in the row, the actual enemies will target the survivor first with damage. So if this thing happens to hit for 2, which it does, and then draw modifiers for, say, let's say +1 damage, it will be 3 total damage. 1 of it's going to get soaked up by the survivor, and the survivor will be killed off, stopping me from acquiring it, and then 2 more damage comes through to me. Now before all that craziness happens, we go into the attack phase, and when you're playing true solo, you're able to do an attack and craft. Now of course, I don't have anything to craft yet. I only have 1 item that could potentially be combined to do something around crafting, but I need to find either wiring or nails to make something useful. So right now crafting is no good to me, but this bottle of water, you can consume cards or discard them for their abilities during your turn when you wish. So here I want to heal for 1. We're going to consume the water and jump up our health by 1. After taking a quick drink of water, we're ready to attack. We can't use the gun because it needs ammo, so we're using the knife. We have to pick a target. It does have a damage output of 2. I'm going to choose to hit, well, it doesn't really matter too much in this case. We'll go with the brute on the far right here. We're going to flip 1 modifier card to see what gets added into it, and oh my gosh, it is a 3. That is a massive hit. That's actually one of the highest hits you can get. It does come with a con though, so I have 2 plus 3 is 5. This thing takes 1, 2, 3, 4 to kill it. It is going to be removed for sure, which is awesome. Downside is I now have to take a look at my inventory, which will be just these 3, as these 2 are locked into permanent slots in my backpack and cannot be touched. But these ones in the inventory over here are part of what can be discarded. So basically I'm doing such a powerful attack that while doing the attack, I ended up dropping something. So we're going to take these 3 cards, shuffle them up, and randomly lose one. I'm really hoping it's the junk or the arrows. All right, let's find out what we lost. It is the junk indeed, and that's the reason why junk is awesome, because you can get rid of it in those situations. And of course, I didn't have a choice, but those random pulls can save you from losing some good items. So with that 1 monster killed off, we're now going to activate the enemies. So right now, the only one to activate is going to be this one here. It's doing 2 damage. We're going to find out how much it adds to it. It says it has 1 modifier card, and it ends up being a 0, so it's just 2 going forward. However, the survivor will be targeted first before me. It takes and soaks up 1 damage. The other damage will come down to my Psycho, knocking me down by 1, but this survivor is dead. At this point, we loop back around to the search phase, and how this works is, you'll remember at the end of the last round, when I stopped my search, I still had 2 cards left in the deck. Be sure not to discard those cards away, because even when you hit the wave card, if there is other rubble cards underneath of it, those cards are just set to the side like I did here, and they're actually added into the next rubble pile that you put together. So we're going to have 7 new cards, plus the 2 from the previous one that I have no idea what they are, and the wave card will be added together to form the next rubble deck. All right, here's hoping for some positive things as we search through the rubble. We got ourselves some nails. That is good because we can actually combine that with our explosives to make a grenade. So I'm happy about that one. We're gonna go ahead and pull another. We got gun ammo. This has been a great one all the way around. So far we'll just go ahead and place these into our slots. Remember, we have 8 total. That includes the 2 up here. So right now we have 6 slots full. We got more gun ammo. That's crazy. I don't think I've actually had that even in some of my prior plays. That's awesome to finally have a couple and some water. That's nice. Wow, this is quite the search. This is going good. And there's the wave card. So the question is, do we want to go any further? Probably not. We did pretty good there. Heading into the assault deck, we're drawing the next card. I'm showing it on screen. It is the Looters card, and in the 1-player column, it's going to be 2 Raiders. These are individuals you do not want to see, mainly because they love stealing stuff. I've also gone ahead and discarded one of the assault cards from the counters up top because I just showed it to you on screen. Also worth mentioning that any of the monsters or enemies that are still in the row from prior, like we had one of those brutes, shuffles all the way down to the right, and then the new 2 cards coming in are shuffled face down and placed out. In this case, doesn't matter. They're both Raiders and have the exact same stats. Now, this clarification isn't really necessary to state. However, I may have mentioned when making an attack with the Psycho that he has the ability to put a damage on an adjacent individual, and I might have made it sound like it could have been a survivor earlier in the video. I just want to be perfectly clear that it has to be an adjacent enemy. So in the last round, we did that massive attack against the Brute. It would have killed the Brute off, but there was no enemy adjacent to the Brute to do that 1 damage to. The only thing was the survivor there, and the Psycho's not psycho enough to kill off the survivor. It would have been kind of funny if that actually happened, but it does state right on the perk itself here, it has to be an adjacent enemy. It's okay because I played it correct. I just want to make sure everyone understands. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drink some water, bumping up my health up by 1, which is fantastic. So this water is going to disappear out of the equation. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to combine the nails with the explosive as part of my craft action, and we're going to go ahead and build a grenade. So the grenade has been created, and now I'm going to go ahead and use a gun ammo with my gun, and I'm definitely going to be targeting the Brute. So using the gun ammo, at least one of them allows me to draw a card when using the gun. We're going to go ahead and see how much damage we get on top of the 3 the gun already provides. It ends up being a 0, which isn't all that great of a pull, but 3 damage is still pretty good. So I place 3 damage on the Brute. I also get 1 free adjacent enemy gets a damage, so this is the one that gets it. And my first player perk, which I haven't used yet, says when you attack, you can take 1 damage to inflict 1 additional damage to your target. My target was right here. I'm going to go ahead and take a damage, dropping me down by 1, and we are definitely going to kill this thing off. Now there are 2 individuals left, both of which are going to try and attack me, and I really don't want them to take away my gun ammo. So what I'm going to try and do here is use my grenade right now. My grenade, as it states in the rulebook, says it's going to stun 2 adjacent targets, so both of these enemies will be stunned, which means they don't get to attack on their turn. So not only are these individuals going to be stunned for this round, they're not going to attack, but it also states that there's going to push them back at the end of the wave, which my understanding is when we're done resolving this, those 2 cards are going back to their respective decks as they are killed off. It completely stops them from attacking and gets rid of them. To this point, we've taken a number of hits with our Psycho, but he is still standing and still progressing forward. Let's go ahead into a brand new search phase. All right, let's keep on digging and see what we can find. We got ourselves some junk. We'll place that in one of our slots. That should be handy to avoid losing something beneficial. Food, there we go. Healing 3 damage. That sounds good. We'll go ahead and grab another one. Oh, another food. That's awesome. 2 food for 3 heals each. We got some gun ammo. Wow, we are finding all kinds of stuff. It's also worth mentioning that we had, I think, 4 to 5 cards from the prior search. And there's that wave card again. So here's the question. I mean, yes, I could heal up. I probably should risk it because I have so much ability to heal here. Let's go ahead and do it. Now, I don't know if that's a smart choice, but let's try it once over. All right, let's see how we do. I'll probably be stopping this time around. We got more arrows the next time I see a wave card, that is. So let's keep going here. We got ourselves a shard. That's good. If we combine this with a plank, we get ourselves a spear. That can be good. So we'll hold on to that. And there's the wave card. I probably won't push myself any further. Grabbing the next assault card, we have Rampage. This brings in a monster, a survivor, and a wanderer. After shuffling them up, they look like this. It's not exactly advantageous for me because we have a survivor sitting right in between them, and I love getting that extra free damage on an adjacent enemy. Not going to be able to do that at this point. Now what I am going to do here during my turn is I'm going to choose to use some food to heal up 3 damage. Feeling a little bit better health-wise, I'm then going to go ahead and make an attack here with my gun. Using the ammo, I'll pull a modifier card, and I'm likely going to... Oh, this is such a tough call, but I'll probably hit the monster. Let's see how we do with the modifier card. We got ourselves a 2. That's really good. So we have 3 plus a 2. That is 5 damage. I'm actually going to choose not to go ahead and use my first player perk, which would have me lose a health to put a damage on it. It's not really going to do that much. I think I'll be able to kill it off with my other ammo in the next round anyway. And then this main perk cannot trigger because, well, the adjacent thing is a survivor, as I mentioned. So what we're going to do now is resolve the enemy's attack starting left and going right. We actually have 2 enemies to attack us this time. This one's going first. 3 damage out of the gates is terrifying. It draws 2 modifier cards, and how this works with the monsters is it's going to take whichever is the greatest, most painful damage. That's the one it's going to grab. So 2, that's really bad for me. And hopefully we don't see a 3. Please don't be a 3. Please don't be a 3. Okay, -1. But it's going to take the one that's worse off for me. So it's going to end up being 5 coming towards me. Now, I just forgot it'll actually end up being just 4 because I need to kill off the survivor. It hits the survivor first, but still a substantial hit overall. And that's not all. There's still this individual over here who's going to attack me for 1 and draw a modifier card. Let's see what happens. It's a 0. That was the weirdest flip in history. And it ends up just being 1 damage through, so we end up going down by 1 anyway. All right, time for another search phase. Let's see how we do. Coming, oh my gosh, the wave card right off the top. That is brutal. So now let's think about this. Yikes, look at how many cards are in that deck. That's insane. And the wave card came off the top. So if we take a damage right now, we will be very close to death. I have the ability to heal up by 3. I'd really have to guarantee I can kill off that monster. Ah, this is tough. This is a really tough call. But to be honest, it might be worth it, because that was such a crazy pull to get the wave card off the top. So let's go ahead and take the damage and continue on. I'm a little scared. Now we really need to see some healing in here because that food, even though I got 2 of them and thought I was going to be way ahead, I am hurting right now for sure. Let's go ahead and, oh, there we go. We got some food right off the top. That will keep us going. That's good news. Next up, we have an energy shot giving us an additional attack. Okay. The swings are nice here. We're full up on different slots at this point. Gun ammo again. That's awesome. Okay, we're doing better this time around. We got a focus card. Now this one here is the first, it's kind of like an ability. It says when you attack this turn, you can spread the damage you inflict on 3 adjacent targets. That's really good. Let's go ahead and ditch, I think, the shard for now to make space for this. Actually, you know what? I might want to keep the shard and get rid of the arrows. I think the arrows are the ones that I'm not using. Let's get rid of both arrows and we'll put focus in there. We're going to keep on checking out. We got ourselves the planks. Can we make use of this? We could combine it here to get a spear. That could be good, but I have so many other... that's so tough. Now, it's really good to be able to craft things. It's definitely a good thing, but I have so many good things that I really want to keep the extra attack. I need the gun ammo. I need the healing. The junk is kind of what I could get rid of, I guess, in this case, and just hope that I don't get it stolen away from me. So let's do that. Keep on going here. We got more junk. Now I'm just going to be tossing the junk away as I continue to search through. Oh my gosh, so much junk. Haven't hit a wave card in a while though, so that's nice. Lucky, this one it says discard to make you, another player, or an enemy redraw a combat card. Ooh, so it's a one-time use versus this allowing me to spread damage around. That is really handy though. I think I'm going to have to let that one go because I think I need to keep all the other ones. The only one I could let go is maybe the energy shot, but having additional attack is huge, so I think I'll let that one go. That hurts me to do so. An explosive. Oh, I'm getting so many good things now. It's making me... So this one here, if I pair it with wiring or nails, so nothing in my inventory currently works for that, so I'll let that one go. Let's keep on going here. Arrows I'm fine to let go of. And there's the wave card. Okay, I think we'll stop right here. There's no point in pushing any harder. The next assault card that I pulled for this wave is called Vanguard. This brings in a Wanderer and a Raider. I shuffled these 2 up and then placed them in front of the other 2 that exist. Now, it's worth mentioning there is some tweaking and balancing going on in terms of potentially removing the Wanderers from the equation on the cards that you're seeing here. I'm playing the more challenging route, which is having more enemies coming in than normal in order to kind of just show you how much you have to manage in particular instances is. So here we have 4 enemies, and we really need to start planning on how we're going to deal with them all. The first thing we're going to do right out of the gates is we're going to heal up 6. We're going to be eating a whole bunch of food. That's going to bring us up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is pretty good overall. And then we have all of this. We can go ahead and actually take the planks and the shard, combine this, crafting them into a spear. Now the spear is pretty cool because it immediately gets placed on an enemy. When crafted, it's going to deal 3 damage to that enemy, and then the following attack that I do afterwards is going to get a +1 boost. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that spear against the monster. We only need 3 more hits to kill it. That is going to kill off the giant monster. Next up, I'm going to make my attack with the gun. 3 damage. We get to draw a modifier card to see what we get. We get a +1, so it's going to be 4 damage total, plus the 1 from the spear, which is 5. So we have 5 damage, and on top of it, the focus card we have says when we attack this turn, you can spread the damage you inflict on 3 adjacent targets. We have 3, so 5 damage is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I could literally wipe out both of these. That worked out pretty good, and technically I have the energy shot still, so I could go ahead and do an additional attack to try to take this thing out, which I'm actually kind of tempted to do. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll use it. Let's go ahead and convert that into another attack. We'll use the knife this time. I still have a gun ammo for a future attack with the gun, but this, let's just go with the psycho knife based on how much HP we need to kill it. Hopefully no negatives. Oh, we got a positive. That's 3. That's more than enough. This thing is dead as well. We cleared the entire row that time around. Wow. Let's begin a brand new search here. Again, we had 2 cards from the previous pile going into this as well. This is going to be a nice one for an upcoming attack, giving us an extra 2 card pull from the modifier deck. That's good. More gun ammo. Loving that. That's awesome. Next up, we have an organic bar that'll give us 2 damage heal, so that's good. And then the wave card. Honestly, what I just pulled there, I'm pretty happy with. I don't really want to take too much more damage. We'll see what's coming at us. We're now getting closer and closer to surviving. We're down to the wire here. We pulled another assault card. This one is called the Swarm, bringing 3 wanderers into the equation. Thank goodness we have the focus card here, which will allow us to spread out our damage. That is certainly going to be handy here. And we got enough gun ammo from our searches to keep the gun up, which is awesome. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make an attack. I have no ability to craft this time around, so that's the only con. But we're going to use this gun ammo card to load up our gun. We're going to draw a card, see what we get. Oh my gosh, a massive, massive hit. 6 total damage. When you attack this turn, you can spread the damage you inflict on 3 adjacent targets. That is going to kill every single one of the wanderers, but we also take a point of damage as well. And honestly, what I'm going to do is go ahead and just use this bar to heal myself right back up. We're doing really, really good. I can tell you right now from my plays off camera prior to filming this, I died in the 2nd round in a couple of these games. So to get this far while filming, I'm pretty happy. So we're going to see how far we can get here. We're going to keep on searching. We got ourselves an energy shot, giving us an additional attack. That would certainly help us, especially if there's a lot of enemies. We have nails. I'll hold on to that. Let's keep on going. And there's the wave card. So the question is, do we probably risk it? I think so. We got to do it at least once. All right, let's start digging around and seeing what we can find. Oh my gosh, the wave card right off the top. That's insane. That's happened a couple times in this play. And honestly, I think now we should just hold back to see whether we can survive. I changed my mind. I'm going to risk it. We're going to pay another damage here to keep going. I want to see if I can continue finding something good here, because I don't know what this last one's going to hold for me, but we probably want to be prepared. And this deck is pretty thick, so hopefully we can get through a number of it. Okay, so now we have a decision to make. Focus is good. Vitality, pretty good for... That's a lot of good stuff. I don't know if I need this per se right now. I mean, it would be nice to heal back up to full, but I think we're going to have to let that one go. Yeah, we'll let it go because I like the extra attack better. Arrows, nope, we don't need those. Continuing our search. Bloodlust. All your attacks this turn gain 1 splash damage. Could be good. Could be good, but focus is so much better right now, I think. But if I do 2 attacks in the turn, the splash damage could be huge. That's a tough call. It's really tough. Let's maybe go ahead and Well, you know what? Looking at this over here, the wiring and the nails are kind of useless. So let's go ahead and get rid of the wiring because I have more potential options for crafting with the nails. So we'll drop this one. Let's keep going. Rodent attack. Wasn't expecting that, so that's going to slap me for 1 damage. Hopefully no more of that. Planks. Planks are good. That would combine with nails to make a barricade, which certainly would be a good thing. So can I discard anything? I don't want to discard anything is the problem. I want all of these cards now. Let's go ahead and get rid of the vitality. That might sound like a really bad idea, but it probably is. It really probably is. I don't think there's a good idea. I still like the idea of being able to craft and have a barricade to block against whatever attacks might come. More planks we don't need. Arrows we don't need. Continuing to search. Wiring, we're okay without that. And there's the wave card. I think we'll stop right there. The final assault card we have here is Brutal, bringing 2 brutes into the fray. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the planks and the nails and combine them to make a barricade. Now I'm going to use my gun ammo here. We're going to use it with the gun, of course. That's going to allow me to pull a modifier when we make the attack. Bloodlust is pretty awesome. It says all my attacks this turn gain splash damage meaning that I'd be able to hit anything on the left and right of my target. So we'll be able to carry over 1 damage. We also have the ability right off my character to add damage to an adjacent individual. So really it'll end up being 2, which is pretty awesome. Let's see how much the main damage ends up being. It is 2, so it's going to be a total of 5. A total of 5 damage going through. This thing, as the target, only needs 4, and thanks to focus, I can actually spread out my damage as I wish, so I'll put the extra damage over here. Then Bloodlust, because this was a target, will also do a splash damage over here. And then on top of that, the ability off my character for the main perk will do another damage here. It doesn't kill it, but it gets it really close. At this point, the only thing we need to do is use this energy shot right here. This energy shot will hit me for 1, knocking my health down. Gaining additional attack, I'll use the knife and we'll flip it over to see what we get as a modifier. Nothing. 2 damage is enough to kill off the last enemy. Now, it's worth mentioning in that last round, after round 6 is completed, if there happens to be any other enemies in play, you're going to continue playing as normal, but you're going to be skip drawing any new assault card, and you're going to repeat until all enemies have been discarded or one of the players dies. Now, the end of the game checks are basically if it's after round 6, and if all the baddies are dead, and if all of the individuals in play character-wise are still alive, in this case just the one I'm playing true solo, you have won the game. It's also worth mentioning that beyond what you're seeing here, there's also a story mode or campaign mode inside the game. More details around that inside the Kickstarter campaign itself, but this was a one-shot scenario to give you an idea as to how the game plays and operates, and it was really awesome to see this psycho actually be able to pull off a victory on camera, because when I played this thing off camera, I lost every single time. So to be able to get through this was pretty cool. Now, there is one correction I need to make that I found out from Flyus Games at the very end of this. And remember earlier when I used the grenade and I ended up stunning 2 enemies that were raiders and then I discarded them? Those enemies shouldn't be discarded. They still would have been in play for the next wave around. So those shouldn't have been removed, which might have put an asterisk on my win, but still overall we did really good. So that's going to do it for this game overview and gameplay video for Survive Until Daylight from Flyos Games, landing on June 7th on Kickstarter. I definitely recommend you check this one out. It's fast, it's furious, and if you're playing this thing in a true solo capacity, you'll be able to play this thing in a very short window of time. If I was playing this thing off camera, I could probably get through this in about 15 to 20 minutes. Now again, if you're playing this in a cooperative sense, controlling multiple characters or playing with other individuals, that time frame is going to increase. And of course, the other game modes the game is going to also offer will certainly add to the experience. There'll be lots more details to see on the Kickstarter. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.